Hi, my name is Suyu. Thank you for attending this workshop. We have Ryan Page and Harish from MathWorks, and Harish will be giving the demo and leading the workshop today. So you can begin, and I'll answer any questions in the chat.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Silvio. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Harish Intakunta. I am a customer success engineer here at MathWorks. What that means is I usually work with faculty such as yourself, try to understand what your interests are, what you're teaching, what you're researching on, and try to support what you're doing, support your goals with MathWorks tools. So, so before joining MathWorks, I joined MathWorks in October 22. So it's been about a year since I came here. And before that, I was a faculty in electrical engineering at Florida Polytechnic University. So I hope I can use my experience to understand where you guys are coming from as well. So I'm seeing in the participants, okay, there are a bunch of, I mean, if it's a co-host, I think they're in the organizers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 faculty joining us. That's great. So since it's the audience is not very big, I want to make it very conversational. You can either unmute yourself and say what you want to say, or just post your questions in the chat, and also be monitoring the chat as we're going. So having said that, let's get started. So I know if you asked this question, maybe some of you may have joined after asking the question. I can maybe if I can get you guys to raise your hands again, just how many of you have used MATLAB before or currently are using? Thank you. 1, 2, 2. Okay, awesome. And so the other 3, hopefully, I will also try to give you a brief description, about what MATLAB is and what are tools. Just to get some more idea of about your needs. So, like how many? Let's see, how many here are like teaching foundational courses, like first year or second year courses? 1. Okay. Okay, thank you. So like some of the tools I'm going to show you are especially useful and their class sizes are very big. And it's to save time, right? So that's the reason I wanted to get that question. So anytime during the presentation today, if you have any questions for me, or if you are teaching a specific course and you want to see what we can do to help you, please jump in. Okay. So let me start sharing my screen here. Share screen. Screen 2. Okay. So, all right. So what is the agenda today? So today I want to specifically talk about 2 tools. One is our online courses, and the other is Grader. But since some of you are also have not used MATLAB before, I also want to let me share the screen here. Okay. All right. So I also want to talk about like an overview of what MATLAB is and what you can do with it. Okay, so I've set that. So the agenda for today. First, I'll go through the 2 things I was talking about: the Grader and online courses, and then hopefully you'll have some time to practice, get some hands-on practice with these tools, and then finally, before we close out, I will give you some more resources on how you can learn things on yourself, and after the workshop, where to go and find more resources. Okay. So, okay. So let's see. So first, let me. So for the people who are teaching using MATLAB right now, so let me ask you: do you spend any time in your course, like teaching students how to use MATLAB? Or the students coming into your course, are they already familiar with it, or do you spend time in the classroom teaching them how to use it? Okay, and I can wait. You can either just say, okay, spend 4 hours. Okay, so Jen May says I spend 4 hours teaching them how to use it. Okay, so it seems okay. It seems you do spend, so 4 hours. I think that translates to about maybe 2 to 3 lectures. Maybe more if you're shorter lectures. So it sounds about like your first week of the classes, you're teaching them how to use the software itself, right? So so the reason we created these online courses is so that you don't have to spend that time in your lectures to just teach about MATLAB, right? So let me go here to our website where the online courses are. Okay, so this is called MATLAB Academy. This is where we have all these online courses. So the first thing you will see is MATLAB On-Ramp. This is a 2-hour course which is available for free to anyone. And when they go through this course, it's basically giving them an overview of what the MATLAB environment is, how to enter commands, how to create matrices, function calls, plotting, and so on. Right. So once they go through this course, they'll basically have a decent idea on how to use MATLAB and do basic, if you can start giving assignments, right? So when I was a faculty myself, like this would have been my assignment 0, right? Before the class starts, I just send this out to students and say, hey, if you're new to MATLAB or it's been a long time since you did any programming in MATLAB, you can just go through this course and then you'll be good to go. And the good thing about it is once the students complete it, it also produces a certificate of completion. So back then, they say 3%, but when they're done, it will show 100%, right? So back then, I used to ask the students to, okay, go through this, finish the assignment, and submit the certificate, right? But later, I will show you today that you can also skip this step, that we can actually, integrate these courses within Canvas. And you can assign these as assignments directly from Canvas so that when they complete it, their gradebook will automatically update it, right? So that's this course. But I also want to show you there are more, detailed courses like MATLAB Fundamentals. It's a 16.5, 16 hours course. So what it does, it goes through a lot more detail about all the different aspects. So depending on what course you're teaching, let's say especially in higher level courses, you may want them to gain some more experience on a specific topic, right? So these courses are designed to give a very big overview of all the different aspects they can see and go in detail, right? So MATLAB Fundamental goes through more detailed programming aspects of MATLAB, and you can pick any of the module and assign a single module as an assignment. And there are also other courses which are specific to different disciplines. So for example, like in machine learning, we have many, and deep learning, many courses dedicated to those. We have math and optimization. I think introduction to symbolic math will be very useful for many math courses. And then they have image processing and signal processing. And something I want to highlight here is all these courses are available to everybody in your campus through your campus-wide license. And I would really encourage your students to take advantage of this. We sell these courses to our commercial customers as well. And for commercial customers, we sell each of these courses for like $2,000 per person, right? So, but as students and as members of the academia, you get apart from your campus-wide license, you get access to all of them for free. It's included in your license, right? So that's about the courses themselves. So let me take a brief pause here and let me try to see, are there any upper level courses where you use MATLAB, any topic specific course you're looking for? About control systems, okay. Tyron, thank you for that. And anything else? Okay, so thank you, Tyron, for mentioning that. I want to say that, point out that we do have many courses related to control systems. Do you use Simulink, Tyron? By the way, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Yes, you use Simulink. Yes. So if you go into the Simulink part, so we have the Simulink on-ramp as well here. Classical control, modern control, nonlinear control, robotics. Okay, awesome. So all of these topics are covered in this list of courses. So they have a control design on-ramp with Simulink. In fact, this also I think features a project at the end with the robotic like control. Let me go back. And if you're not familiar with Simscape, I'd also encourage you, Tyron, also to go to Simscape. What Simscape is, it allows you to model real hardware by just dragging and dropping blocks. And so if there's a very I do teach. Awesome. So there's a Simscape on-ramp. Students just go through that. And then you mentioned nonlinear control. See, control design. I think we also had a right. So control design, I think that will be a very good introduction for your students to for controls courses. There was, I think, yes, I know there is a playlist. Awesome. So Tyron, thank you for mentioning that as well. Yes, I will. Since you mentioned that, let me also go to the MATLAB YouTube channel. For everybody else who are not familiar, please also check out the YouTube channel on MATLAB, and there are lots of nice videos over there as well. Right, I completely get that, especially like Tyron. So with the Simulink also, there is that aspect of there's an intimidation aspect to Simulink. I don't know why, even when I was a student, I had that feeling. But the good news is at that time we didn't have all these online courses. But I went through the Simulink on-ramp and Simulink fundamentals myself, as you can see here, and after going through, I felt a lot more comfortable with Simulink. I didn't teach control courses myself, so I was not like a very big Simulink user. But after I came to MathWorks, I went through these courses. I am like very comfortable with Simulink now after those courses. Let's see, there was another numerical analysis with MATLAB programming. Okay, so I go to math and optimization. Right, so we have solving ordinary differential equations with MATLAB. Nonlinear equations with MATLAB. And then I think like maybe Jen May, I would strongly recommend you go through the topics in these courses. There may be like lots of things you find there which are useful for your students. And you don't have to necessarily assign the entire course. You can pick and choose different modules within it, right? So, yep. So there you go. I'm assuming for numerical analysis, you do a lot of ODEs, solving ODEs, right, Chinmay? No. Oh, okay. So can you give me some topics, maybe one or two topics you teach in this course?
Yeah, some like spline the interpolations in the beginning, and then later on some linear systems of equations with numerical methods.
Okay. Systems of, I'm just taking some notes, and then maybe after the call, after this seminar, Janmay, I'll try to like put together some resources for you and just directly email it to you. Sure. I hope that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's about the online courses. So, and again, later in this webinar, I'll show you how to assign these directly from Canvas. Okay. So the next topic I wanted to talk about was Grader. Again, so before jumping into what I want to show, I want to ask you again, do you assign programming assignments in your courses? Yes, awesome. Tarian, how about your certain controls? Do you have asked them to do any programming assignments in MATLAB? Or only, okay, yes, right. So like like there are, in controls, I see two categories of problems. One is, ask them to formulate, equations of motion and compute Laplace transforms and, you know, um, compute step responses and things like that on one hand. Another in this, you also want them to actually simulate the entire system and see how the simulation is working, right? So the simulations, thank you. The simulations are not appropriate for MATLAB Grader, but the first part you can do very well. And I will show later, you can also ask them to do symbolic computation assignments as well. Right. So having said that, okay, what is MATLAB Grader, right? So it's a automated grading tool, and when I usually talk about automating grader, the first thing which comes to mind for people is, okay, it saves a lot of time, right? So if you have TAs, it saves a lot of time for TAs, and you can use them for more like student interactions or collaborate with you in doing curriculum development, and then that helps the TAs also get invested more, right? So that's one thing. This save time. The other aspect is not that something comes to obviously the first thing which comes, at least not to me, but then if you think deeply about it, it's about providing immediate feedback to students, right? So it will definitely save a lot of time for you, but more importantly, it provides like lots of feedback. So typically what happens, right? The students submit their work, and then they wait 1 or 2 weeks until either the faculty or TAs get the time to grade it, and then they return, right? By that time, you've moved on to like the 2 more topics, and if they're missing something on that assignment, and they were not able to follow the following topics, then it's too late until they receive the feedback, right? So that's the biggest issue. And then if there's no automated tool for it, then it's very difficult to give formative assessment, like formative feedback immediately. And especially I wanted to do as a faculty was do this, and I tried it for a semester. It was very difficult. I wanted to I returned the assignment to the students if there were many mistakes, and I asked them to do it again and submit again, right? So this went on for 2 or 3 rounds. I think the students it was very useful for them to actually, first of all, it removes the stress from their mind that, okay, even if I get it wrong, that's okay. He will give me feedback. I can work on it. But more importantly, they understood everything. They got everything I wanted them to get from the assignment, right? But what I realized very quickly, like in the first month of the semester, that was too much work. There is no possible way I can do that for all assignments in all courses, right? So this is where automated grading tools, I think, come like extremely useful. Is first of all, they can submit as many times as possible, and as I will show you, you can also provide them with the targeted feedback based on what mistakes they're making. And then they get the feedback immediately, right? So I think that's the biggest advantage of automated grading tools, especially if there is a capability of giving them like more complex problems, not just multiple choice or okay, just enter this number. If you ask them to do coding and if there's a way of actually doing some more advanced checking, right, and giving more targeted feedback, that will really enhance the power of automated grading tools, right? And that's what Grader does. And this is like a slide I want, I really like to show. Is like traditionally, and I remember giving assignments myself on PDF documents. Okay, here's the structure, the context. Here are all the formulas you will need, and then solve this problem or write a program to solve this problem and so on. But then what MATLAB Grader does is just it basically makes a live version of this PDF documents basically. So and then you can provide them all the instructions, and they provide the program, their programming solution, and they get feedback, right? So that's what that is about. So let me dig right into the tool itself. Okay. So this is MATLAB Grader. This is the hosted version. That means this is on our servers. And in here, you can actually create courses, enroll students. So I got a list of registered people. I enrolled all the registered faculty in this course, and I'll show you later. So, but I won't go too much into courses because I think the more you all will prefer to have the courses directly in Canvas and do assignments directly from Canvas. So I'll talk a lot more about how to integrate this into Canvas. So I'm just using the courses just for hands-on experience today. And then you have the content, right? So the difference between courses and content is the content is where all you have stored your problems, and courses is where you can enroll students and assign problems, right? So that's the difference. Okay. And within content, what you can create these problem collections. The way I look at the abstraction of the problem collections is, like different topics or different courses. For each course, you can have a problem collection. And then let's say for the sake of today's demonstration, I'll just add a collection, say grader training, and then say, group 1. Okay. And then this group level is basically like maybe chapter 1 or topic 1 and so on. Okay. So there's a grader training course at the collection level, and there's a problem topic level. Okay, so let me start adding problems here. Now, as you'll notice, it's a sample problems from MathWorks. So this is a question bank which we already created, and it tries to cover many of the commonly taught courses. So there is a dynamics course, Thyron, I think you will be interested in. And then for numerical methods, there's numerical methods course. I think Jun May, you might be interested in that. Right, so let me dig into numerical methods and maybe pick one of the equations. So you said linear systems, and let's see what else is. I think I took some notes. So interpolation problems. Let's see curve. Okay, I'll just do curve fitting. Okay, let's copy this. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So let me first show you how it will look like to the students, and then I'll come back and look at all the different parts. Okay. Okay, so this is how it looks like to students. First, they will see this nice description of the problem. You can also add figures. You can also add LaTeX commands here. So if you want to add math, I don't think there's LaTeX commands in this problem, but you can. There you go. So this is a LaTeX equation there. So first you have the description, you give them instructions on exactly what values to put in which variables and so on, right? And then they'll have a place where they can enter their script. And then once they have entered their solution, they can submit. So let me copy paste the solution and see, show you how it feel like. So copy, go back to learner's preview. Okay. And then paste. Okay. Right. So assuming that this is what the student actually wrote. So let's say if I submit it. Okay, and it shows that all the assessments have passed, right? So it's looking for values and different variables, and all of them have passed, and it's also showing them what output they got, right? And if I make some mistakes, let's say, something like that, I hope that will remove the mistake. And then in this case, all of the assessments failed, right? So that's basically, very, very rough overview of how it will look like, okay? So now the next thing I want to do is go in a little bit in more detail and show how to create these problems, okay? But before I do that, at this point, are there any questions?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you modify manually the questions and then, of course, fix the corresponding codes? Or this is a sample that needs to be copied over verbatim?
No, you can modify it, right? So thank you. That's a good question, and I'll show you. that's the whole purpose of creating this, this initial sample of questions, is that so that they can serve as a template for you to modify and change. So usually when you copy a problem, if you go to the bottom, you have a button called set to draft. If you do that, it will give you, if you set to draft, students cannot submit, they will not see it and so on, but that's fine. Okay, once you set to draft, everything is editable. You can edit, what your description is. You can edit the reference solution and everything. Okay, it's a good question. Any other questions? Okay, so now what I want to do is save this as final. Is I want to show you like how do you create these things from scratch, right? So this is a somewhat involved problem. Again, if you're not exactly in this area, it may it's difficult to show this, all the features. So I will take a simpler problem, right? So I'll choose a different problem. Okay, so back to that problem. So now getting started with MATLAB Grader. So these are what we call template problems, right? So and here basically these problems here are meant to showcase all the different things you can do with Grader, within Grader, right? So these question banks here are for specific topics, but these guys are template problems. So there are lots of different types of problems you can assign. So like you can think of, okay, like traditionally you'll say multiple choice or fill in the blanks or numerical answers. So these are what we call different types of problems, right? So in Grader also we can do lots of different types of problems, and this getting started basically provides a template for all the different things you can do, right? So I'll talk about the script-based problem and the function-based problem. These are the two big categories of problems, and you can add in different kinds of functionalities on top of that, which all these other template problems will go through. Okay, so I will go through these two today. Okay, all right. So first, let me copy this script-based problem. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna do set to draft. Okay, so now I'm gonna go through each part of the grader and show you what this is about. Okay, so the first, obviously, there's the title, choose your title. Next is the description. So you do have some formatting capabilities here. And you can also enter MATLAB code. You can enter LaTeX, you can enter image. So it has a pretty rich editing capability here. And the good practice is to specify very precisely which variable name you want them to store their answers. Okay, so that's the description. Sometimes you may also want to provide them additional data or some, you downloaded some real world data and you want them to, do something using that. But okay, there's a question. For typing equations, does it support LaTeX? Yes. So let's say if I want to enter equation here, if I do that, it's asking me to enter LaTeX equation there. And so maybe, let's say if I do, alpha, say beta, and then it shows up there. Okay, so that's how it works. Thank you. And I think LaTeX, having LaTeX equations is a great functionality. It really, makes the features very rich, especially if you want to give lots of detailed mathematical equations. Okay, so and I just told you about the files. If you want to add, let's say, provide them data or any like Excel files or math files, you can add any kind of files, and that will be available to their solution space. Okay, and I said there are two main categories of problems. One is the script-based, other is the function-based. Okay, so in the function-based problems, you can ask them to write a function, and I'll know when I'm talking about that, I'll explain why you want to do that. Or here, it's just a script. They just write a script, and you are assessing the script. Okay, so and then let's come to the code section. So there are two sections here. First is the reference solution. This is where you put the actual solution to a problem you're asking. And then there's a learner template. This dictates what the students will see. So again, here a good practice would be once you are done with the solution and with all the comments, you copy all the solution, put it in the learner's template, and then delete what you want the students to do. Right. So I think I found when I was teaching that to be a good practice. I will complete all the solutions first, and then you can also verify, if like validate reference solution, and we can figure out if there's any syntax errors in your solution and is the solution answer looking correct and so on. Once you validate your reference solution, then you copy paste your solution into the learner's template and delete the part where you want the students to work on, right? And you can also lock certain lines. That means the students will not be able to edit that. So here, because you're asking for specific values and that information is provided in the question, there is no need for students to edit that, so you can just lock it. Okay, so that's basically the solution and the students. So this is what the students will see. Okay, so that's the course section. Next, we're going into the assessment section. So here you're adding all the different tests you want them, you want to run on their code. Okay, so there are a few different types of tests you can make. So one is variable equals reference solution. So in this type of test, you're just checking if the student's value in the student's variable is the same as the value in the solution variable, right? But there are other types you can also do. First, let's say like MATLAB, it's a very high level language, comes with all the toolboxes. So many times you want the students to write some functions from scratch without using the built-in function in MATLAB, right? So here you can, in the instructions, you can specify solve this problem without using these functions. So when you do that, you can check if that function is absent. And you can if sometimes you may want them to use a specific function to do specific things, you can then check if the function is present. Okay, so those, and then if what you want to do doesn't fall into any of these nice buckets, then you can also write your own MATLAB code, right? So you can actually, this is a pretty it is sophisticated environment. You can pretty much write any script you want here and it will run, right? So that actually really extends the features, right? And here it is showing you how to programmatically do variable equals reference solution, this thing. So the access variable function, it basically checks this is the student's variable in the student's solution, and it will check against this value. Okay, and you can add all these different kinds of questions now. And then here's the most, I think, the very useful part is you can also provide what the students will see if they fail this test, right? So this is where I was talking about, you can give targeted feedback. So again, a good practice is add many tests, and you have your assessment, divide the assessment into, okay, if this is wrong, I want to see the students did this, and then divide it into steps, right? And for each step, you can check if they did that step correctly, and if they did not, you can give them, like a detailed feedback, targeted feedback for that specific test. Okay, and you can add another test as well. And I'm just gonna delete this just for the sake of time. And if you have multiple tests added, you can also let's see. Right, you can either do correct or incorrect, like say they get full points or no points, or you can also do weighted. So if you have multiple steps and you think some steps are more important than the other, you can assign different weights to different tests. Right. So those are the different parts of this of creating a problem. And so once you have created it, you just save as final, and that will be it. Okay. So unable to say error occurred. Okay, what error happened? I see. Okay, I don't see the need for like fixing that at this point, but I'll leave it there and see if there are any questions. Everything looking good? Awesome, thank you. All right, awesome. So next, let's go to the other category of problem, which is the function problem. So, okay. right? So this is where you're asking the students to write a function, right? Okay. Now the biggest drawback, not the biggest drawback, like one of the common complaints I get, like for a script, is like you're asking them to store a specific value in a certain variable, right? And then a easy thing for the students to do would be just open up a calculator or just do that calculation somewhere else and just hard code the value, in that variable, right? So instead of doing all the calculations and actually computing the equation, they can just put in the answer, like a number, like the a equal to 25, instead of actually calculating that 25, right? So that would be the drawback in writing a script function, because all the values are fixed. And then to circumvent that, you can actually ask them to write a function, and now you can actually control the input to that function, right? So they don't know what values you're going to use to test that function, so they actually have to implement what you want them to implement. Okay, so there is in the code section there is a reference solution where you actually write the function you want, your solution of the function. Learner's template, again, a good practice would be log both the function in the end and ask them to write the code in between, so that you're not making them change the syntax, right? So if you log it, the syntax is fixed. And then you'll have this additional section, and here you're telling them how to call the function. Okay, so basically this will give them more idea about what the inputs should look like. This is not necessarily what the input you will use to test it, but this is an example input to the function. Okay, all right. All right, thank you, Tyron. Please, reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll, have my email address. Okay. All right, so let me get back here. So you have the, so this is how you're telling them how to call the function. Okay, now let's go to the assessment. Now in the assessment, again, as I said, you can write MATLAB code to test it. So here, this reference is a built-in object which will allow you to access items in your reference solution. So when I'm running this, I'm actually calling the function in the reference solution. And this one is the function with the students provided. And then here we're comparing the both. Okay. So, and the good thing to do here would be also be like, instead of just using one values to test, you can actually create like a for loop and create random numbers for inputs. And then you have a vector of inputs. They get a, the vector of solutions and vector of student solution, and you can compare those two vectors instead of just numbers, so that you're checking their solution for like 100 different values. Okay, and then the rest is the same. Okay, so that's the big advantage of function-based problems. So any questions on that? Okay, so then let me go to the next part, is the hands-on part of this workshop. So as I said, I created this course. I go home, like, so the CSU LB Grader training, and I've already enrolled all the people who registered. So if you log into grader.mathworks.com, let me type that in the chat. Grader.mathworks.com. It will ask you to log in with your account. And once you log in, you should see in your courses, you should see this course called CSU LB Grader Training. Okay, so in a little hands-on exercise today is I'm asking you, I already added 2 problems in there. So just so that you get some experience on how students will feel like, will experience it. I want you to submit like a solution. And then I also want, if you have some time, maybe you also want to actually create a problem collection and add your own problem and create your own problem, right? So these are the 2 tasks. So I will set this on the screen. So maybe we can take about maybe about 7 minutes until 10:50 for you guys to just get an experience on that. So, and meanwhile, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. So I'll just wait for you guys to do that. Okay, thank you, Janmai. So I now. So I know some of you indicated that you never used MATLAB. So I want just maybe let me check. So the people, faculty are still in the call. How do you want to spend some time getting like first-hand experience on it, or do you want me to spend some time giving you a bigger introduction of MATLAB itself? Okay, maybe you can demo it for us. Okay, I will maybe create a very simple problem from scratch. Okay.
Thank you, Harish. The two that used it in their courses unfortunately had to leave. So I think it might be better if you do demo it for the rest of us, because the remaining faculty are probably more interested in seeing how they can implement it in their class.
Right. So now let me expand the thing. So do you want me to demo the grader itself, or do you want me to show you just the MATLAB software itself? Because I know some of you said
us MATLAB and then one thing in MATLAB and maybe one thing in Grader.
Awesome. So let me fire up my MATLAB here. Okay. So can you all see my software on the screen? Yes? Yeah, awesome. Okay. So I'm gonna, let's see, layout, default. Okay, so this is probably how it will look like for you if you're opening MATLAB for the first time. Okay, so you'll see, okay, you can start entering commands here. And oops. So let's say I want to create a random matrix 5x5. So everything in MATLAB is a matrix. So as I said, it's a technical software designed for engineers. So any like technical stuff you want to do, you will find it very easy to do it here. Right, so this is the command line. You can enter commands, and then the good thing about MATLAB is we try to make it usable. Like if you want to use it without doing a lot of programming, you can use it at a very high level to get things done very fast. Or you can, it's a complete programming language, so you can also do lots of programming as well. So first, let me show you some features here. Let's say if I want to import some data, let me go here. Let's see. Okay, so there are some Excel files here. So let's say if I want to import some data. So they have an import tool. I want to say it's an import selection, and then you will see the data already came back. So again, you see how fast it was for me to import data, right? So I didn't have to look up any syntaxes for functions or look up documentation, all that stuff, right? But now let's say I did that and I want to know what functions will do that. In any MATLAB app, like window you open up, you'll always see a command called generate script, right? So I can generate script. It will show me all the things I have to do, all the functions I need to use to just do what I did by clicking, right? So I think that's a very powerful feature of MATLAB. So that you can do lots of things interactively and generate code to see how to do them programmatically, right? And they said, so I showed you this import tool, but there are also many other apps which come with toolboxes. So you can do lots of sophisticated things using these apps. And then each toolbox comes with its own set of apps, and you can do lots of so these are really appropriate, especially if you're teaching a course and you want to motivate the students on all the different applications of the techniques they're going to learn. These apps are like a very nice way, like these are all graphical user interfaces, and the students don't need to know a lot of programming to, and or even the techniques in your courses to figure out like how you can apply them. And all these apps also have those generate script capabilities. And so when you're doing these complex tasks, when you generate script, it will show them how to do that programmatically. Let's see. And it also has lots of powerful plotting capabilities. So here's a big gallery of all the different things you can do. They're all grayed out right now because I haven't selected any data. If I select some specific data, then it will show me all the plots which are available for that data. Okay, so that's a very brief overview of MATLAB. Right, so then the MATLAB on-ramp course I showed you at the beginning, that's a very nice way to get a brief introduction of some basic, some of the core features of MATLAB. Okay, so that's about the software itself. Now let me go to the grader. So I'm going to create a very simple problem. Okay, let me go here. Okay, let's say add problem. Okay, so blank problem. So this is completely from scratch. So if you're new to Grader, I would actually recommend using one of those templates because it already has lots of things. But I will show from scratch just to give you some idea. All right. So let's say here, what do you want to do? Maybe calculate square of a number. I'm going to pick a very simple problem. Square of a number, okay? And then, what we want to do then, what students to do is y equal to, let's say, x squared. This is what I want the students to do. Okay, so I'm gonna select a script problem. Let's say x equal to 10, this is my reference solution, and then y equal to, let's say, x squared. Okay, and then once I've done with my solution, I will validate to make sure that everything, at least, okay, one assessment. Let's say value, okay, variable name you want to compare. I want to compare y, okay, and then validate. Okay, code ran without output. So when you validate, it's basically making sure that there are no syntax errors and your own solution passes your own tests, right? Sometimes the tests can be wonky, and you want to make sure that you're doing it correctly. All right, so now that I have my solution done, I will copy paste. Let's put it in the learners. Okay, and then I want the students to do this. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to lock this so that they don't change that. Let's see. Okay, and then, okay, so once I create my learners template, I want to see how it will look like to the students. Okay, students will see, do this, x equal to 10, y equal to what, and then let's say I do a mistake, let's say x cubed, for example, I can run and see what output I get. Okay, I'm thinking this is correct, so I'm gonna submit. And it did not pass, right? So that if I actually do the correct way and submit, it passed, right? So that's a very quick demo of this thing from scratch, right? So I hope it gives some idea on how to do that, right? So based on what I showed, are there any questions? It does. Let me maybe ask a very specific question. Does it make it a bit more clear on how to start problems, create problems in MATLAB Grader? Yes. Awesome. Okay. So I did a very simple a script. You can do lots of complicated ones. Again, I would refer you back to this getting started. And here are all the template problems which I mentioned. So you can it's like you can see all the very complicated things you can do. Okay, so that's one. So it's now that we have like 7 minutes, I want to maybe I want to show you first how to integrate this within Canvas, and then show you some more resources how you can start learning things on your own. So we have a Canvas page for our company here. This is MathWorks Canvas, but your Canvas will be yours. So I'm gonna go into one of the assignments. So let's say I created some problems in my Grader account, and I would recommend to start there, create problems there, and then bring them here. Okay, and if you're logging in with your university email and ID with Canvas and the MATLAB Grader, then those problem sets will be linked. Okay, so how do you get those problems into Canvas? Well, so let's say this is your Canvas. I'll go to Edit Assignment Settings. Okay, and then you want to go to Submission Type, pick External Tool, and then in Find, you want to find MATLAB Grader. Okay, I have many options here because you want to test all this thing, but you will when it's integrated in your campus, you'll only see one of these, right? So select MATLAB, so anything that looks like MATLAB Grader, select that, and then save. Once you save it, then you will see all the the problems question bank that you have. And if you created any of your own collections, you'll also see your own collection here as well. Okay, and you can pick any of these problems. Let's say I want to go here. Let's say copy, right? And that's it. So now this is how to look to the students. Okay, accept, submit. So this is how it looks like students, and the students can write it right here. So they don't never have to leave Canvas. They can do the entire assignment here and then submit. And once they submit, their gradebook will be automatically updated. Okay. So so I know I went through a bit quickly here. Any questions on how to bring your problems into Canvas?
I have a question. So, for the points, you set up the points when you're creating the assignment, correct? And then based on if they pass everything in the script, then they'll be awarded that full 10 points. Is it an all or nothing type of?
No, that's yeah. So that's a good question. So right here it says correct, incorrect. So this is all or nothing. But you can also, if I set draft, you can also weight them differently. So if I do weighted, it will give me, I can edit these how I want to weight them.
Okay.
So maybe I want to give them more points here. So and now I have 75% for test 1, 25 for test 2.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, good. So the next thing I also mentioned at the beginning is you can also assign those online courses as assignments. So let's say if you want to do that, then again, you are still in the external tool. And then this time you want to find, let's see if I can find it, online courses, right? Again, I have a few here, but you will only see one. So select whatever looks like online courses, select, and then save. And then you will see this interface of all the courses available to you. So select different course. So you can, of all these courses, you can select the course you want and assign that course as assignment. Okay. And then that's it. Any questions on this? Right. Now, from what I understand, these online courses have not been integrated into your Canvas yet. But my colleague Ryan here will be working with Liam and the other people in your office to make sure that this integration can happen. And then once this is done, all these courses will be available to all faculty to assign them as assignments. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
That was a great training, and thank you for taking your time out and everyone for attending. And if you have any questions, you can email us at canvas@csulb, and you can email Harish or Ryan at MathWorks and we can get you the contact information. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.